The first book of Christ for Atheists. This is chapter 28, Love, Loyalty, and Differences of Opinion. It is available for free, YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, Instagram. You may purchase it for $20 from Amazon. I met my wife at a wiener roast along with my drunken friends. In those days, girls would walk down the street and get picked up by guys as they drove by. They would go to the dance clubs and get picked up by complete strangers. Carole and her friends were picked up by a couple of my buddies at a club dance and brought to our wiener roast, which was being held in the bush. Carole was cautious, but her best friend was willing to take risks, and Carole went along with it. Besides going with complete strangers to a bush party, Carole's friend Bev and her once hitchhiked on a highway to Lake Country where they were picked up by the locals. The driver lifted off his steering wheel and asked them if they wanted to steer as he passed the steering wheel to them. When I first met Carole, she was one of perhaps 20 or 30 people at the bonfire. Her and her friends seemed nice, and at this point in my life, finding a nice girl was a better option than castration and the priesthood. As it turned out, instead of being celibate, I would become a salesman and celibate. What I found in Carole was that she was pretty, nice, Catholic, and Polish. She was absolutely lovely and easy to talk to. She was only 15 and I was 18, which allowed me to take charge. Marriage changed all that. I wanted someone to date and develop a relationship with. What I had going for me was that my mother's side was Polish, and my mother's family were well respected in the Polish community. This made it easy for her family to like me. Realizing that I was a petunia came years later. Because my parents would argue so much, I'd apply to work in Australia, New Zealand, or South Africa. When the acceptance letters came back, I had three choices. I decided that living a life as a bachelor would be better than living with a wife that I was always arguing with. But then I met Carole. We had been dating for several months when I received the invitation to emigrate. When I worked at my uncle's funeral home, Swell Mel, the embalmer, took me to look at the body of a young girl who had taken her own life because her boyfriend had rejected her. She was beautiful, and I couldn't believe that she would do such a thing when she had so much to live for. Whenever a suicide came to the chapel, my uncle would always say it was a heart attack. With this young lady, it was no different. I had a plan that would include telling Carole about my opportunity to emigrate. I anticipated that she would break down, cry, and I would comfort her and tell her that because of her, I'm not going. Our bond would become stronger. But that's not what happened. I told her that I would be leaving to work in South Africa. Instead, she said, "That sounds exciting," and with a smile, wished me well. Having been hit between the eyes, I didn't know what to say. My original statement saying that because of her I would not go was empty, given the fact that she didn't seem to care if I went or not. We cut the evening off early, as I didn't know what to do. At home, I pondered whether my feelings toward her were perhaps not mutual. I knew one thing: she wasn't going to get rid of me that easy. I spent the next 2 years working on my nice. I meant this statement as a joke, but AI in their review made it sound like I was a manipulator. Stupid robot. Finally, I finished college, and Carole was about to graduate from nursing school. Around Christmas, I asked her to marry me, and by God, she said she would. I didn't ask her dad for her hand, which I regret, as it would have shown him the respect that he deserved, but I didn't think of it. When we told my mother, she said, "Why didn't you tell me?" I thought we just did, but I think that the thought of her Kenny moving on was a bit much, and she just blurted out anything in her confusion. In those days, I could do no wrong with Carole. When having tea with Carole and my mother, I told them that I would like the Canadian flag above our bed. Carole said that would be wonderful, while my mother said we were nuts.